Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Dr. Doujinshi, and welcome back to another episode of Hentai Reviews, the series that, yes, is still around when I'm not too busy complaining about stuff. Oh, and just remember, I forgot. But nonetheless, let's go ahead and head off onto our next review. We're going to be going into a series that we have kind of neglected over this little bit. We're going to be going back to Old Faithful. That's right, Black Bible. I said I was wrong. It's Mankitsu happening. Episode 3, because we're this close. And personally, a little bit more enjoying into this. It's a lot more fun, a little bit more upbeat, a little bit more spirit to it. That feels like a pun I didn't mean to make. So let's go ahead and get in on this action. Mankitsu Happening, Episode 3, done by our friends over at Collaboration Works, with 12 total categories, notable of which is MILF, Harem, and Comedy. Now, if you're wondering why comedy is on there when that's not sexy, I don't know. I sure get turned on when I'm watching stand-up specials. Except for the new Bo Burnham one. That one just makes me feel bad on the inside. But the music fucking rocks. And this bitch runs at about 30 minutes long and 2 seconds. That's where the real plot is. In that 2 seconds, if you don't have that 2 seconds, you might as well throw out the whole other 30 minutes. It's called Preparation Time. Really builds up the atmosphere. But this series starts off with the MC sort of just, kind of running through what's happened in the last 3 episodes. But then it starts back up again with the whole thing kind of kicking into what the actual plot of the whole series is. First episode is the basic running off point where, like, etchy situation leads to grosser situation that leads to sex. And then it kind of just runs off that. Second episode does the exact same thing, but runs in a more upbeat, uproarious sort of way where they introduce a new character. There's more of a dynamic going on between these people. The third episode, that's where they introduce the actual story to it. But since this is only a 4 episode series, they really don't introduce a lot. But it's still going to be a fun ride while it's there. The actual episode itself starts off with the MC just kind of like sitting at the desk while a girl with long blonde hair and huge booba is just right outside the store being like, they don't even know what's about to happen. They're not even understanding of what's gonna happen. She walks in immediately and just starts like shimmying her way next to like the magazine area. It's a manga cafe and you're trying to act inconspicuous. Why do you go to the magazines? But she does, and she kind of just scuttles along the side like a crab and then bursts into the back like that kid who's like, you're not allowed to go to the bathroom, and the kid's like, oh yeah? Outside, and then bursts out the place as soon as possible. She then sprints into the management office or the staff area, where she immediately falls on her face and then slides into a bunch of cardboard boxes, and then gets help me stepbro, I'm stuck. She does that to herself. I thought that was a joke just so people could fuck, but no, apparently it actually happens in this scenario. Because she legit can't move this whole time. She's sitting there, head in a box, ass up on her knees, while the dude is just like, I don't even, this is too lowbrow even for me. Can you just like stop moving for a second and fucking panicking so I can like pull your ass, anything other than your ass? And then he accidentally grabs her ass, and then she freaks out and jumps back and then lands on his face. And she's like, I don't even know what's going on here, but it's not right. And then looks down, realizes she's sitting on a dude's face. The dude's like, this might as well happen. And she's like, and then runs away as fast as she can. And like, I'll get revenge. And this probably happens like every other day for this dude. But she just walked into a story with no build-up because she got very confused when she walked into a pre-built story and got very overwhelmed and just ran away. It's like it's like reading Monstrous, and you have no idea what the fuck is going on because it's a pre-built world and they don't introduce anything to you. It looks like a good series, damn it, but it's hard to read. Okay, let's go ahead and continue forward. She, the characters then start to notice that work is a lot slower and there's really nothing going on through this whole thing. So they're like, what the fuck's going on? They walk outside and they realize that there's another manga cafe that has opened up close to where they are that's part of a larger corporate chain. And they're like, the hell? How's that gonna work? And then the same girl in the what looks a lot like a Foot Locker uniform where they have like the stripes. They dress like a referee for some reason. She walks in and says, "Ah, that's right. I'm back. Heck, the person who has vowed vengeance upon you." And he's like, the fuck are you? And she's like, you don't even know? And she starts getting closer, like, I legit don't know. He has the hentai hair the whole time that, like, goes in front of his eyes. And I'm like, at first, how do you know who he is? Alright. She then gives the whole spiel about how she, like, seeks revenge against this guy specifically for getting so intimate with her. I'm like, lady, you don't know the half of it. But he then realized it takes him a second, but then he realizes like, oh shit, this is probably my fault. But then again, she burst into company property without like proper authorization, even though she was a customer at the time. So like someone's in the wrong here, and it's the blonde girl starting out with. But she then walks off with a whole smug look, and he's like, oh damn, I may have caused this entire place to go bankrupt. But about a day later, he's thinking about it while he's like mopping the floor, and then he slips, and then Lucky perverts his way underneath Kuru. Kuru. Pink haired girl that looks like Sayori from Doki Doki Literature Club. Uh, Her name is weird. There's a lot of R's and U's that sound weird. I'm white. I don't pronounce Japanese names very well. He slides underneath her, and she's like, man, my legs are giving out. Sits on his face. Nice. To which leads to there's no actual like penetration, so it was hard for me to count this, but I'm still gonna count it. Which leads to scene number one, which starts at a good 9 minutes and then goes all the way to 15 minutes. About halfway through the whole thing, I just want to say thank God for this entire scene because it is 6 minutes long and it is there's no penetration, but it still like implies so much, and there's so much like emotion being conveyed from her. The guy literally just like lays there. But she saved the whole thing. About halfway through it, Otana, the blonde-haired girl who's secretly a pop star, walks over to the side and is like, "Oh, that's hot. Hand in pants. Let's go." Oh, and just kind of sits there and listens, like, okay, you can just listen. You can stare at them. You can probably join in. He and Otana eventually meet up because they're walking around the corners and then like run into each other to reveal that she has a lot of wet spots around her pants, around her little skirt. All right, and then she hears and then they hear Sayori Light. All right, walk close and they're like, "Hey, where are you, Oni-chan?" Because that's what she calls the main dude for some reason. And they're both like, oh shit, we can't have her seeing you like this. This is indecent. Yes, this is indecent. I don't. Alright. Alright, and they're like, quick, hide. Underneath the soda machine. And then they crawl underneath it. No idea how they get under there. I've been in those little cupboards before. They are small as fuck. They go underneath the whole thing and they kind of just hide in there. But it's cramped. It's very hot and they get very sweaty very fast. I wonder what happens. They do their taxes. Just kidding. He puts his pee-pee in the vagina. Which leads to scene number two. which goes from 17 minutes and 5 seconds to 20 minutes and 40 seconds. Over 3 minutes long, damn good with I'd say it just keeps progressing from here because it starts out with the girl that's hot, but she's probably the least hot in the area. Then it goes to Pop Idol, and then that's where the next scene comes in later, where they're really in just like an enclosed space, and there's just a whole lot of intimacy, and it just looks awesome this whole time. I'm amazing, as usual. But after that, he then goes back up behind the counter, and then she says, "Alright, I'll see you later." And then she just kind of dips out. Kuru-chan, what, I don't know why I called it, why I said Chan after that. I hear her name all the time, that's all I can say. She runs up to him and says, "Hey, we can do it later, or again, if you want." And he's like, "Are we not already doing that?" And then she runs out as well, and then he ends up staying till, holy shit, like 2 in the morning. And he's like, "How long are the shifts, dude? How well do you get paid here? Because this isn't worth it." But nah, he stays back there behind the counter with Ray, the purple-haired, amazing best girl in the whole thing, and they kind of just chat for a second before she's like, "Oh, I dropped a penny," and then bends over really, really far. Alright, I'm like, how do you not get back problems? Gee, your boobs are huge. Huge, and you're bending over a lot. Which leads to scene number 3, because she is talking to him in the middle of the night, and she's ready to go. Oh, which leads to scene number 3, running from 22 minutes and 40 seconds to 27 minutes and 35 seconds. Just under 3 minutes, but damn is it amazing. And it feels longer. Wink, wink. But, oh, goddamn, I love this. I love this show. Oh. And at the end of the whole scene itself, it then goes to them like talking, and then he starts to realize, were they just like ganging up and getting like intimate with me because because they think I blame myself for like the other store opening up and ending up making enemies with the new chick? Like, that's very kind of them, really. Nice to know that they care how I feel. And then it ends with Ray and the main character kind of just talking in the break room as it slowly cuts out, and the episode ends right there. And damn, if this wasn't a good episode. But let's go ahead and get into the reviews. It was an old thing that I forgot to change. I'll do that hopefully next time. Now that we're a part of the review section, let's go ahead and get into what we're actually here for. Or my opinions on it. Or not. I don't know why you guys are here. There's 116 of you. Thank you all for being here, but fuck, I'm not going to try to guess what all of you are thinking. I'd love to hear it. Tell me in the comments. What we're going to start with is the animation. The animation is on par easily with that of the last episode and the first episode before that. I'd say it's an 8 out of 10 because it is damn near anime quality, and anime quality is a 5 in the anime world. Anime quality in this medium is easily an 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10 is anime quality. 9 out of 10 is a step beyond, where there's a little bit more dynamicy. And then 10 out of 10 is easily one series in here, which I can't remember the name. I remember Hunter was in the name, and it was amazing. One of my favorites on this list. Maybe if we hit a certain milestone, I'll do my top 10 favorites that I've ever done on this series. But that's for a later episode. So, the animation, easily an 8 out of 10. Amazing anime level quality. For the story and characters, I'd like to say that this is a 9 out of 10 because even though it does consist mostly of scenes throughout the entirety of it, it very much feels like the problems of the first chunk very much lead into the second and third half, or the second and third chunks of the entirety of it. Because his run-in with the girl ends up leading into the actual plot that leads to why they're so, like, after him, and he's constantly dealing with it throughout the episode. He doesn't really, like, give up on it, and you can tell he actually cares for the store that he's working for, and so do the other people, but they want to make sure that he feels happy because when people deal with him, they make sure that, their service actually matters, which, for somebody who's worked in the service industry before, does not fucking have any realism in the world. They do not give a shit about you, and I really wish it was like this. Not the sex part, just the actual they care about you. That would be awesome. But yeah, 9 out of 10 for the story. There's just so much, like, you can feel like they're sleeping with the dude for the reason to make him feel better because he blames himself for everything that's going on. And it's really nice. Plus, there's a little bit of an added backstory with, like, who this crazy Footlocker chick is, who's opening another manga cafe across the area. Solid. Well done and appreciated. So, which leads us into the actual thing that we're all here for. The plot. Fuck, is this good? Oh yeah. Not as good as the previous episode, which I did rate a 10 out of 10. This one is less focused on, like, let's go as hard as we can right now. And it's more focused on, like, what can we split into? Because there's three distinct ways that they handle it throughout the entire thing, given the three different scenes. And I'd call it a half scene with what happens with the Footlocker chick in the very beginning of it. But there's so little that goes on, I really wouldn't say anything. First scene, it shows, like, intimacy without, like, any sort of entrance. The second is very much like intimacy by being together. Third is like, let's give the best girl some of the best scenes. And it's awesome. 9 out of 10 for the fact that it is amazing, but it's just a little bit less raw and like let's go all out as the last episode. Last episode's probably my favorite so far, but this one is just amazing. It's just really well done across the board. So, for my overall score for this, okay, from the scene, the plot is going to be a 9 out of 10. And my overall score for this, averaging the numbers together and putting it all together, I'd rate this a solid 9 out of 10 across the board. It is great. It is definitely something that you would worth watching. I'd say the first episode's probably the weakest so far. Second episode is where it hits its high. And this one is where they develop the story, so they sacrifice a little bit of what's going on. But damn if it ain't good. This is a series that I am very happy to be reviewing, and I'm very happy to have that little bit of a spark put back into what I'm doing. So, thank you all for being here, for being a part of this whole review, and thank you all for being, how best can I put it, 116 of you motherfuckers? That still blows my mind to this day, that there's 116 people. The fun thing is that this statement will always be outdated. Because if people leave, then people leave. It's okay. If people come here, then my mind gets blown even more. Okay. Thank y'all for being here. I appreciate each and every one of you motherfuckers. I'm still working on the whole scenario where I can, like, get better editing software, so it might be a little bit of a spotty upload for a period of time, because I am going to be trying to, like, work on how to edit better and how to, like, properly use what I've downloaded. I know this is sounding like something, oh, I said this a bunch of days ago. Yeah, but I lost my job a few days ago, so I had to deal with a little bit of a job search right there. And I'm not going to go into detail because I already made a video about that, and I'm not making more videos about any of my problems going on. I am here to have fun, make content, and hopefully branch out with a few other things that I have planned. And because some of us really want to play some video games and actually let you know what my voice sounds like when it's not covered up by a mask. No camera on stream, though. But let's go ahead and end it right there. Thank y'all for being here. I appreciate the hell out of each and every one of you. Have a nice day. Don't be a dick. There's too many of them. And wash your fucking hands. I've been the doctor. Peace.